Okay, guys, today we're going to start something a little bit more involved, but it's basically the same thing we've been doing. Last week we added like terms, so if I had this trinomial and I had this trinomial, we could add those together, right? We'd have 3x squared. Notice my variables, the exponents didn't change when I'm adding them up. And then this guy and this guy go together, so that's going to be a negative 2x. And then this guy and this guy go together, so that's 14, okay? We added and subtracted polynomials. And then we started multiplying polynomials, okay? And so we had something like this, x plus 6 times x minus 3. And so one of the methods I showed was this, line it up. And we'd multiply these two first. And that would give us negative 18. And then we'd multiply these two, and that'd give us negative 3x. And then we'd leave a blank, and then we multiply these two, the 6 and the x. And then now when I multiply, remember, you add the exponents. So the 1 and the 1 make this 2 here. Okay, and now we add up our like terms, and again, the like terms don't change when I add them up. So 6 minus 3 would be this positive 3 right here. Okay, and that's what we did last week in general. We're going to do the same thing this week, except now we're going to throw in trinomials. Okay, we're going to multiply trinomials. And so let's start with a trinomial times a binomial. Let's go here. Let's go like x minus 3, how about? Okay, so again, two of the methods work. The FOIL method will not work here, okay? A FOIL only works for two binomials. Well, I've got a trinomial here, so that's not going to work. So we could line them up. I'm going to show that first, and then I'll show the Punnett square. If I line them up, I'm still going to do the same thing. It's still like saying taking 128 times 12, let's say. Okay, we would take the 2 times the 8, carry the 1, take the 2 times the 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, take the 2 times the 1. And then we leave a blank, and then we take 1 times everything up there. So we got 8, 2, and 1, right? 1 times each thing. So now that's going to be 6, and then we add it up. 6, 13, carry the 1 is 5. Okay, and there's our answer. So we go over here. All right, well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take 3 times 6, and it's negative 18. And then I'm going to take 3 times 4, which is going to be a negative 12x, because this 3 is negative. And then I'm going to take that negative 3 times the 2x squared over here. And it's going to give me negative 6x squared. Okay. Now I'm going to leave a blank, and then I'm going to take x times all those things. And now you got to remember that when you multiply the x's, your variable, your exponent is going to change on that variable. So this one here, 6 times x is just going to be 6x, and it's going to be positive. And then I'm going to take x times 4x. Well, that's going to give me a positive 4x squared. Notice that my like terms line up here, don't they? These two are like terms, and these two are like terms. So they line up nicely for me. And then I'm going to take my last piece. I'm going to take this times this. Well, x times x squared is x cubed, isn't it? Because I add the 1. 2 and 1 make this 3. Okay. Now all my like terms are lined up, so I just add them up. 2x cubed. These two is going to be a negative 2x squared. These two are going to make a negative 6x. And then a negative 18. Okay. Now, if we do that same thing with the Punnett square, we can do that as well. Let's check. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Same thing. I got my 2x squared, I got my 4x, and I got my 6. And then I just make a longer Punnett square. And I had x minus 3, I believe. All right, well, so now we're just going to multiply the side of each box. So these two are going to make that 2x cubed. Do you remember that from the last one? Then I'm going to go and look at these two right here. The x and the 4x are going to make 4x squared. And then my last box is going to be the x times the 6. So that's going to give me 6x. Okay. Now I just start the same thing with the 3. So I got negative 3 times 2x squared is negative 6x squared. And you'll notice that the diagonals are still going to be like terms, just like before, except now there's 2 different diagonals. So what's going to go in here in this box better be the same as this box, and it is. Negative 3 times 4x is going to be a negative 12x. And notice those 2 are like terms now, aren't they? And then in the last box, I've got negative 18. 6 times 3, and it's negative. So now I just start pulling things out. And again, when you add, you don't change your exponents. So my 2x cubed, these 2 go together, so that makes that negative 2x squared. These 2 go together, so that makes that negative 6x. And then my negative 18. And that's the same answer that we had on the last slide, if you want to. Beautiful. Okay? Let's try one more of those, just to be sure we got it. Like terms. Oops. Let's say I got negative 3x squared plus 4x minus 7 times 2x minus 3. Okay, so if I line them up and do the vertical part, I could do it this way. I got positive 21, 7 times 3. And then I'm going to take my 3 times my 4, so that's going to be a negative 12x. And then I'm going to take my 3 times my 3, and that's going to end up positive, isn't it? 9x squared. Since they're both negative, it becomes positive. And then I leave a blank. Then I start with my 2x. I'm going to take it times the negative 7. So what's that? Negative 14x. And then I'm going to take it times the 4x. So that's going to be 8x squared, and it's positive. And then I got my last one here. It's going to be a negative 6x cubed. So now if I add all that up, I got negative 6x cubed plus 17x squared minus 26x plus 21. Okay. Now let's try that again with the Punnett square. Just for those, add 2x. Sorry about that. Read it like that. So I'm going to make my 3 by 2 Punnett square. I got my negative 3x squared. I got my 4x and my negative 7. And then, oh, I forget, minus 3. So my 2x minus 3 goes there. So now, again, I'm going to multiply these two right here. So that's going to be negative 6x cubed. And then the 4x and the 2x is going to give me 8x squared. And then the negative 7 and the negative 2x is, or the positive 2x is going to be negative 14x. Then I start on the bottom, so I'm going to have 9x squared. Notice these two are like terms. And then I'm going to go my negative 3 times my 4x to get into here. So that'd be a negative 12x. And notice these two are like terms. And then I got a positive 21 there. They're both negative. So now I can start adding up like terms. So this here is negative 6x cubed. Then I got my 17x squared. And then I got my negative 26x and my positive 21. Notice it's written in descending order, biggest exponent to smallest exponent. And when I add them together, I don't change the exponents. The exponent stayed cubed, and then here the exponent stayed squared, and then here the exponent stayed 1. Okay? Now, what happens when I have trinomial times trinomial? Well, it's the same thing. It's just a little bit messier, that's all. So let's say I got x squared plus 2x minus 4 times x squared minus 3x plus 6. Okay, I can do this both ways. I can line it up, or I can Punnett square it, but I cannot FOIL it because it's got too many terms. But if I line it up, I'm just going to rewrite them here. Goes against every rule of my body to rewrite it, but here we go. So I'm going to take my 6 times my 4, and that's negative, so it's going to be negative 24. 6 times 2x, these two right here, is going to be a positive 12x. And then 6 times the x squared is going to be a positive 6x squared. Then I leave a blank. And then I'm going to start with this 3. So I got negative 3 times my negative 4 is positive 12x again. And then negative 3 times 2x is going to be a negative 6x squared. And then I got negative 3 times x squared. Negative 3x times x squared is negative 3x cubed. But wait a minute, I got a third guy here yet that I haven't multiplied. I got this x squared yet. So it's just like this here. If I had 242 times 127, I'd have to do 3 rows, wouldn't I? I got my 4, my 1, and 9, and 2, and 16, and leave a blank, and 4, 8, 4, and then I got to leave 2 blanks. Don't I? Oh my goodness. Okay. Does everybody see what's going on there? So now, right here, we've got to leave 2 blanks. And now we're going to take x squared times negative 4. So that's going to be negative 4x squared. Notice it, look at that, they all line up. That's awesome. And then I got x squared times 2x, so that's going to be positive 2x cubed. And then I got my x squared times my x squared. That's going to be x to the 4th. All my like terms line up. Isn't that awesome? All right, so we got x to the 4th. Now these two are going to stay x cubed, but it's negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So I could just write that, or I could put the 1 there. Doesn't matter. Now these two guys cancel each other out, don't they? So I'm just going to have negative 4x squared. And then here I just double it, 24x, and then minus 24. So notice again, it's still in descending order. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? And I put all my like terms together. And I can't put any of these together. These are all done. It's the best I can do right there. I'll show you what that looks like on a Punnett square here. Got my other terms, so x. Yep, we got x squared plus 2x minus 4. Whoops. I guess I don't really want this here. And I'm going to move this guy over. And I'm going to spread them all out so I have a bigger Punnett square so it's easier to work with. I should have probably drawn that first. And then squared minus 3x plus 6. Okay. So again, now we're just going to the sides of each box. So these two go together first. So that's my x to the 4th. And then these two, this guy and this guy. So it's going to be 2x cubed. And then this guy and this guy. So it's going to be negative 4x squared. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, your diagonals are going to be your like terms again, just like always. Okay, so if I go this guy times this guy to fill in this box, I get negative 3x cubed. Okay, so that's a way to kind of check yourself. You can make sure you're doing it right. If these are in descending order here up top and down the side, if they're in descending order, then your diagonals should be like terms. And these are both cubed, aren't they? Okay. It's always going to be the case if these are lined up on the top and side correctly. So my middle box, then it's going to be this guy times this guy, which is going to be negative 6x squared. Notice these two are like terms. I would bet this one's going to be in the same boat, isn't it? Okay. And then I'm going to get rid of these things on the side here because I don't want them to confuse you. Alright, so now I'm going to take this guy times this guy. So it's going to be a positive 12x. And I guess I don't really need the positive, but I put it there. Alright, so now if we do this last one, this guy times this guy, that's going to give me 6x squared. Look at that. All three of these are like terms, aren't they? And then this guy is going to be a like term with whatever's here. So that ends up being 12x because you got your 6 times your 2x. And then your last term is negative 24. So we start with x to the fourth, that's this guy. Then these two go together, so it's negative x cubed. Then these three go together, that's that negative 4x squared, because these two cancel each other out. Then these two go together, that's positive 24x, and then a negative 24. And that should do it. I will put up a quick check later on this morning, and then I'll probably have a quizzes to put up as well. So good luck, have fun, and now I'm going to shave.